Hi, I'm Nic Larissa, or Nick, and this is day 99 of the Art Life video blog. Thanks for watching.
I'm Jacob Wolf. Thank you, Nick, for having me here. You do have a lovely home.
Thank you.
And we're here today in her studio, and we got the door open. It's really nice outside. Portland weather is amazing.
It's a beautiful day.
Really is.
Got lucky.
Yes. So what were your first steps in your art career?
Well, if you could call it a career, I suppose I kind of started early. When I was 12 years old, I asked my parents if I could paint my room, and they said sure, and then I painted my bedroom, all four walls, in full color murals, floor to ceiling.
Wow.
And then on the ceiling I painted it black, and then I painted Egyptian stars that they put on the top of tombs.
What were the walls?
I really loved Elvis. I still love Elvis, but I really loved Elvis as a kid. I had a jungle wall. So I had a jungle wall, and then I had a planet wall of the solar system, as, you know, like our close-in, when we had, you know, Pluto as a planet. I included that. And all their moons and the asteroid belt and stuff. And then,
wow.
And then a kind of a close-up on planet Earth, and then I had an ocean wall.
That's incredible. How long did that take you?
It took me, let's see, it took me about a month.
Wow, that's it.
I was pretty intent on doing it, and I had a spring break in there too, so I didn't have to go to school for a week, so that helped.
Right on. What were your parents' reactions to that?
They were cool about it. My dad's kind of artistic, but he didn't pursue art as a career. So he was cool with it, and my mom was okay with it, and they were kind of, I think, taken aback at the amount of stuff that I wanted to put all over the walls. So, it's cool, but they were very lenient like that, I think, and that was nice. So
definitely. What was your reaction to it? Were you happy with the way it came out?
Yeah, I was very happy, and it was a fun place to live as a teenager, being in my own world, basically, that I created.
From there, did that kind of inspire you to start doing other artistic projects?
Yeah, I ended up doing a dinosaur mural in my brother's room, and then, other, little things, like other kids would ask me to paint their treehouse or something like that, which, was sometimes not always the best as far as their parents were concerned, but, I had fun. So.
Did you ever do any more murals?
I did when I was in college. My college boyfriend, his family had a bait and tackle store in Eufaula, Alabama vicinity, in a tiny little town called Patala Creek. And I did the entire outside of the bait and tackle store in a full color mural. And then I also did the interior. I made my own stencils for, the local wildlife, like turkey. So I made little turkey feet and little bear feet and, that kind of thing. I made the little feet walk all over and painted up, like the bathroom doors kind of creatively. And people would come by and tourists would take pictures, and it was kind of flattering. So,
what got you into what are some of your your older paintings that you have?
Some of my older paintings, a couple of these are kind of older. This was sort of elaborate, I guess. This one is.
I really dig this painting.
It's kind of difficult to get in the whole picture, but we'll try.
So you painted this when you were overseas in Turkey?
In Hungary.
Hungary.
Close.
And what was the story behind this?
Well, the story behind this is I was there in 2006, and 2006 was the 50th anniversary of 1956, which is the Hungarian Revolution from Russia, and they kind of had a little, to do also in 2006. There were a lot of protests, and there weren't Russian tanks, but, this is just kind of to symbolize that and the old architecture of Eastern Europe. And this is kind of a student with a glowing hand, which I don't know if you can see that, but he's supposed to be, you know, kind of like the resistance. And here's a clock. And
is there still a lot of Russian influence in Hungary?
Sure. I mean, it is Eastern Europe, so
yeah,
it's hard not to be influenced by Russia in that area of the world.
I guess, yeah, that makes sense. So, what other paintings do you have here?
Let's see. Well, there's this orchid lady, insect lady, right here. A little bit of texture in there. I kind of put some material underneath the paint and went crazy and sort of did an infinity orchid, like an orchid inside of another orchid. And I don't know, I just really like orchids. I think they're very interesting. They're very old, like the oldest flower.
Interesting. What got you interested in orchids?
I guess I'm not sure really. It's just something that I like. Whenever I grew up, I was born in Pasadena, California, and we used to go to the botanical gardens and stuff when I was really little, and I always really liked the orchids and, you know, all the little cool plants that you could see there that we didn't have at our house.
There's so many different kinds of orchids that, like, it's easy to get infatuated by them because they're just so different and varying.
They are, and there's something that looks like nearly everything, if that makes any sense.
That does make sense, totally.
But I don't know, I just think they're really cool, and then I grew up and I started acquiring my own orchids and sort of liking that, and I really like the fact now that they're pretty cheap to acquire, whereas they used to not be, so that's kind of neat. New technology there.
Did you go to school for art?
No, I went to school for mechanical engineering because I, you know, took some tests and I had an aptitude for it, and my folks told me that, you know, art wasn't a real job. So. But, you know, I mean, I understand. They're pretty old school, so it's completely understandable that now you can kind of make a career out of art, whereas when they were kids, you really had to be lucky, talented, and just, you know, have the universe smiling at you,
right?
Because otherwise it wasn't going to happen.
Definitely. So, what brought you to Portland?
Well, in the late 90s, my folks moved out here for a job transfer. My dad transferred out here, and I would come visit them while I was in college on break. And I kind of fell in love with Portland, and then when I graduated and things didn't work out the way that I had intended in Atlanta, then I moved here.
Right on. And did you start creating art here right away?
Pretty much. I met a couple nutty artists, and we got a studio together downtown, and then I moved over to Alberta and had a studio there for a while, and then it started getting too crazy, and I had, you know, a little baby by then, and it was way too crazy on last Thursdays for babies, so so I moved to the basement, as all good artists do, I guess.
So what kind of stuff have you been working on lately?
Lately, I've been doing some, I guess you could call it 3D collage, and paint impressions on glass. As well as, like, I kind of work on many. I'm going to get up here. This might be easier to show people.
Yeah.
I'll give you this one. I'll get the larger one. It's like 3D collage.
And you got these lenses from a friend of yours?
Yeah, actually my partner does audio visual, and somebody gave them to him in a large box and said, "Here you go." And he said, "I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Here, why don't you do something? Do art with them."
Very cool. And then what all do you have on these?
Well, I have pieces of prints of my own work kind of in the background. I have old dictionary pages in the background because I love language and I just think it's fascinating. And then I have wires or bones that I spray paint gold and like antique gold trim.
Where do you get the bones?
Well, I get them from an art store here in Hillsdale sometimes. Sometimes people give them to me. Sometimes I find them. So it just